Welcome to another episode of Swoon-Worthy, the podcast that dives into historical movies and series. I'm your host, Carly, and I'm thrilled to be here with two Swoon-Worthy co-hosts today, Stephanie and Sunny. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
By now, the three of us have had countless conversations on the period dramas that we love, both new releases and nostalgic favorites. The movie that we are covering today falls into that category of a new movie, Hamnet. It's one of those movies that has gotten a lot of hype, a lot of attention on social media, a lot of critical acclaim. But of course, we all had to go to the movie theater to see for ourselves what Hamnet was all about. This historical drama is based off Maggie O'Farrell's novel of the same name from 2020, and it's a fictional take on Shakespeare's family life. It stars the enchanting Jessie Buckley as Agnes and Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare, directed by Chloé Zhao. We are going to dive into the scenes, the cast, what we loved about this movie, what perhaps worked, what didn't work, and we might even talk about the real Shakespeare and his wife. I wanted to start off by asking both of you about your initial impressions, your movie-going experience.
Yeah, I just love the movie. It's so beautiful and so emotional. And I also finished the book the night before. So that was a really good way to do it. I don't think I've ever done that before. It was a really interesting theater going experience because at the end, everyone just sat still. I don't know. I guess there have been other times where I've experienced that, but it's very rare where just no one moves when the lights come up. And I think that's such a powerful thing and says a lot about the movie. So I'm interested to hear what you guys experienced, but I absolutely loved it.
My theater experience was also kind of like yours, Stephanie, where at the end everyone just sat there and listened to the end song, the credits.
So Liam and I we watched it this past Sunday, and wow, yeah, we were incredibly moved by it. We also had just watched Train Dreams in theaters the weekend before, and it was just like two back-to-back weekends of just full-on convulsive sobbing in the theater. Two films that like really make you like deeply feel and like I know we're not talking about Train Dreams on this podcast episode, but I feel like as like a double feature, it was like
Yeah.
really interesting the way they like sort of played off each other. There's a lot of like magical realism and also a lot of storybook vibes and like fairy tale vibes and like folk tale vibes about both of them. Honestly, my biggest takeaway from Hamnet was Jacoby Jupe's performance, the little
Mhm.
boy who plays Hamnet. I thought he was like revelatory the way he portrayed Hamnet. I like can't stop thinking about his performance, really.
Love your comparison to Train Dreams. I also saw that in theaters. Both of these are so great to see in theaters, especially if you like movies that make you feel something. I mean, every once in a while I love a good lighthearted rom-com, but I really do love these emotionally driven stories in theaters that make you just give you the chills. And both of these did that. Both of them deal with like love and loss and how people deal with grief. And wow, such powerful movies, both. Yes, so I think we're going to talk a lot about Jacoby Jupe and his brother, but this was really Jessie Buckley's movie. And I know that this story has all been about her point of view. The the life of William Shakespeare's wife has always been very mysterious, not a lot known. I remember my sixth grade English literature class learning that her name was Anne Hathaway and that not a lot was known about her. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Anne Hathaway, our Anne Hathaway star of today. How crazy is that? Did you have you always thought about that?
Yeah, I think so. Also, when this film was announced, weren't people mad that Anne Hathaway wasn't playing Anne Hathaway?
Were they?
I
That
feel
would
like there were some.
That's
no.
hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I mean, she already played Jane Austen. No, this is
Yeah, we didn't need that. This is Jessie Buckley's role for sure. She was
It
born for it.
She was born for it. And Sunny, you and I talked a little bit once before on one of our upcoming period drama episodes about Jessie Buckley and like, she's kind of been a little bit under the radar for period drama fans. You may have first seen her in War and Peace, the 2016 miniseries, and then some other indie and really powerhouse dramas. But this is like bringing her to the forefront of everyone's mind. This is like her big movie. Everyone's going to know who Jessie Buckley is after this. Oh, she's also, Steph, she's a Broadway or no, a West End star for cabaret fans.
Yeah, she originated the Sally Bowles in the production that we got to see on Broadway, which is so
Yeah.
cool. And there's a cast album of that, so I
Yeah.
highly recommend.
Cat
She's fabulous.
Paul Mescal, Normal People, is what shot him to fame. And then he's been in a lot of indie movies as well. I finally watched After Sun, the movie that he was
Oh,
nominated for from 2022. Yeah,
yeah, that's a
that's
rough one.
it is, but it's really good. So we have these two, you know, amazingly revered actors for their acting abilities in this movie together.
Both
You know,
Irish.
they're both Irish. Thank you, Sunny. Yeah, that's cool. And you love Irish actors. We talked House of Guinness, the three of us. I know you love your Irish actors.
Oh yeah, big fans.
Yeah, they're kind of like the best in the business right now,
hmm
honestly.
I would
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
I love their age difference too in real life. So Paul is 6 years younger, whereas William Shakespeare was 8 years younger than his wife. So that kind of played out really well. Because a lot is not known about the wife of Shakespeare, Jessie Buckley was able to just, encapsulate this role. I mean, bring it to the screen, bring this character to life. Stephanie, I'm really curious to see how you think that worked, with the book characterization. And then you have Shakespeare, who's like so well known. He's a very prominent historical figure, a big role to fill for Paul Mescal. What are your thoughts on the two casting choices?
I had the book before the movie was announced, but I never read it until, of course, just recently. And so I had the gift of having them in my mind while I was reading the book. I don't know if y'all cast, actors as characters in books sometimes, but
Oh
I
yeah.
like to do that. And they are so perfect. Like you said, there's an age difference. Agnes is sort of seen as like stealing away this young man and his future. And so it's cool to see that they are age appropriate and they are just like the most incredible actors right now. Jessie really embodies this like witchy, sort of supernatural character so well. I think there's just like, I don't know, she has like this quiet wisdom about her, and like she has such a naturally beautiful face, and the character's always like dirty and unkempt, and I think they did such a good job of really bringing her to life from the book. And then Paul, he's just, I think he's such a great young Shakespeare. And he also, like in the book, you don't really know that he's Shakespeare. And in the movie as well, you don't know that he's Shakespeare. It's not about him, it's not about
Mhm.
that. It's just about these two people who are very, very different, who fall in love. And I thought it was perfect.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Yeah. I like what you said just then about not really knowing it's Shakespeare. So that's good context from the book because often at times it felt like he was just, a man who worked in London, who had, didn't live always with his wife and kids and was traveling back and forth. It didn't really feel like the bard that we know. Um, but I'm curious now, Sunny, what your thoughts are on the casting too.
I thought Jessie Buckley was just perfect. Like, no notes. I can't imagine anybody else playing this role after having seen it. There's something, yeah, about her. She's got like a very like wry smile, like a dry sense of humor
Mhm.
almost. She's very like suspicious of everybody, which I love. Yeah, I agree with you, Stephanie. She's got this sort of like inherent wisdom having traveled through life quality about her and like the way she speaks and like the way she like moves, and I really really loved her in this, and I think it's my first film I've ever seen of Jessie Buckley's, and it makes me really want to see more of her work because I thought she was just incredible in this. And yeah, the highs and lows, like she took us through all of it. Like I know we'll get to some of the more specific scenes down the road, but every single emotion she like emoted, I felt it. Like when like her delight at being surrounded by her children, like I felt that. When she loses her son, I really, really felt that. Like I don't think I've ever felt so sad for a character in a film. I'm like kind of like tearing up thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I also want to say, moving on to Will Shakespeare, I love Paul Mescal. I love him. I think he's one of the most talented actors of our generation. I loved him in Normal People. I loved him in After Sun. I loved him in everything he's ever been in, even in Gladiator. I couldn't fully buy him in this role. Maybe because I've seen so much of his previous work, he is really adept at playing that sort of suave, very like charismatic young man. And I just through like the dialogue in this film, you kind of got the sense that he was supposed to be this like awkward, kind of like overlooked. I think Bartholomew, Agnes's brother, called him like a pasty scholar and like just didn't really understand like his appeal. And I don't know if Paul Mescal with all of his like charisma really like sold that to me. um, and I think I found issue with like the way his words, like his dialogue didn't necessarily like match his actions. Like he would say things like, "I'm sorry, I'm not really like good at talking to people," or like looking people in the eyes or something like that. But I found that to be kind of untrue because I found that his like gaze was so direct and piercing and like he was so like deeply like emotionally and physically connected to every single person he shared a scene with that I like found that to be like a little unbelievable. Um, but yeah, I don't know, maybe it's like worth a second rewatch because I've since read reviews and like I know people love him in this and are calling it like his performance of his career. So I don't know, maybe I'm like missing something, but yeah, what did you think, Carly?
I have to say I'm with you on that with a little asterisk. Like, I do want to watch this a second time because there are some movies, some period dramas where the second time I see it, everything just speaks to me in a different way. I have a whole different viewpoint. One really major movie for me was Portrait of a Lady on Fire, where I think there was a lot of hype too going into it. And so when I saw it, it was a little bit like, oh, this is really subdued. The second and third time I watched it, it became like a favorite. It became just like a beloved movie for me. And I feel like I did go into this with a lot of hype, a lot of high expectations for both of them. And I would say like Jessie Buckley delivered for me. And then Paul, I was just a little bit like, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And I think, as you said, amazing actor. Love him in like indie kind of films and series, that kind of vibe. I actually, for Gladiator, I like, okay, I feel like I'm just like ragging on him, but I'll get past this really fast. But for Gladiator, I
No, I
feel
want to hear it all.
so for Gladiator, I like don't remember him. I remember Denzel, I remember Pedro, Joe Quinn, and I'm like, was he even in that? I don't know. I just feel like I love him in indie movies. He's such a subtle actor. With this one, I really wanted something else. I don't know because we know Shakespeare so much. Like in Firebrand, the movie was told from the perspective of Catherine Parr, but we needed Jude Law to be like a really strong Henry VIII. And I was thinking of Priscilla being told by the point of view of Priscilla Presley, but we needed that Elvis to be really solid. And I wasn't getting William Shakespeare from this. Even if, as you said, Stephanie, before, like it wasn't about him, it was supposed to be like a average Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what y'all are saying for sure, but I think he's very much a side character in this
Yeah.
story and in the book. And in fact, he's not likable at all. Like
Mm,
in the book, he, sleeps with other women,
mm.
and Agnes knows about
Um,
this. He like totally just abandons his family. Like
Yeah.
he's not a good dude. And
Oh, they don't even put
um,
that in this movie.
no, they did kind of they had to tell the story so much quicker, right? You have
Yeah.
so much more time in a book and so much more context, and you can hear everyone's thoughts and everything. Um, and the book really like lets you in on every character's thoughts. But yeah, I thought he was in it more than I expected. Like
Oh,
I thought
okay.
he was going to be like even more of a
Oh,
side
wow.
character. So yeah, I see what y'all are saying, but I don't know. I think he
You
was
loved it.
like a perfect young Shakespeare because
Okay.
he probably was like, you know, in reality, probably like a boring dude or maybe not great, maybe not a great dad, but they did give him moments where like he, had fun with his kids. He,
Yeah,
made them put on plays and stuff like
I
that. So
liked that part. Yeah.
yeah, those moments were really fun, but yeah, I think their fun times as a family were short lived.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that whole thing of us having Shakespeare in our heads, like a conceived notion of who he was. I grew up with Shakespeare in Love. Joseph Fiennes is my Shakespeare in my head, and it's hard to get past that. So I think a second watch will really help me to just really like understand this movie better. But um yeah, I'm curious, if we go through some of the highlighted scenes, Sunny, your point too about like some of the dialogue. I don't know. It was just, yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on that one, Sunny?
Yeah, I really loved what you said about just then comparing it to the performances of like Jude Law and Alicia Vikander and Firebrand. Like you need like the foils to sort of like play off each other to like really like bring out the other performance. And I think that for me kind of like hits the nail on the head, which is interesting, Stephanie, considering you said that he's such a side character in the books, like he's so minor, he's not necessarily like a second character even, or like a main character even. But I think because of the movie and the way they like marketed it that it was going to be this like love story. I agree,
Right.
like I felt like there was yeah, something missing. But
Hmm.
I love Paul Mescal and like I want to be convinced that he did a good job.
They both received Golden Globe nominations. By the time this episode airs to our listeners, this may have already passed, but you know, we have a Golden Globe nomination as lead actress for Jessie and supporting actor for Paul. And I think they both might receive Oscar nominations. Who wants Jacoby to get a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination? Do we think this could
Yes.
happen?
I think it has to.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but yeah, if we could swap
Really?
him and Paul, I think it'd be really cool. He's just so young, though. Like, let's protect him.
Let's protect him.
Yeah.
But sometimes the Oscars will throw in a different one from like the Golden Globes. And like
Mhm.
I'm thinking Anna Paquin,
Mhm.
such a young age. I don't know. I think it could happen. I'm gonna manifest it.
Yeah, well, we just love him. He's the sweetest.
The opening scene I found very mesmerizing. It starts out with two trees up against the sky, and then it kind of pans down, and you kind of see that the two trees that are standing tall and, separate are actually like intertwined and connected, and then it's all mossy underneath. And we see Jesse curled up in like a fetal position napping. What a way to start a movie. I mean, that was really inspired, I feel like. Steph, was that how the book started, or do you think that was a director choice?
Yeah, that was fully a director choice. Yeah, the book actually is non-linear. So you start out with Hamnet in the book. You get to know Hamnet first, and it
Ah,
just jumps around timelines all throughout the book, which
okay.
I love actually. But
Yeah.
I understand why they did it the way that they did to like build up the family relationship and everything. But no, I mean that setting was so beautiful. I wonder how they found that majestic tree.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I really want to go back or go to where they filmed and like find the tree and like the kind of creepy void behind it or within it. And I feel like
Yeah.
there's some just like scene stealing trees out there. Like right now I'm thinking about in Pride and Prejudice when Lizzie is on a road trip with her aunt and uncle and they sit on like the roots of like that giant ancient tree.
Yes, munching on the apple. And
Yeah.
Kira eats the apple so cute. I always try to mimic the way she eats an apple. She cuts it and she just kind of eats it real cute. Okay. Side note. Okay, that is a great, yeah, scene stealing tree.
I just
And
saw Rental Family as well, and there's an epic tree in that too. So it's been a week of like epic trees in movies for me.
love that. That's the one with Brendan Fraser.
Yes, that's right. It's in
Oh,
Japan, set in Japan. So there's a lot of really cool scenery.
oh my
Oh,
gosh.
cool.
So cool. And to continue with the natural setting, we see Jessie Buckley and her hawk friend. She has this really cool leather glove, and she's able to, you know, what is it called?
Falconry.
Falconry. That's the word.
Yeah, I just wanted to say in the book she has a kestrel, which is like a small falcon. And in the movie, this is a Harris's hawk that she has. And Harris's hawks are very commonly used in falconry just because they're easy to train. They're very smart. They're like social hunters. So I think they're just used to hunting with people, which is kind of what falconry is. Um, but you will see Harris's hawks in a lot of period dramas when there is falconry, and they're just really cool birds. But just wanted to say, I did actually get to train a Harris's hawk many years ago. I got to glove train one, a very young one. I don't remember why it couldn't be released into the wild, but we used it for educational purposes. And in doing that, you have to sit for long periods of time with this bird on your glove. And I just remember like being this close to an animal like that, like hearing it breathe and looking into its eyes, you can't help but feel like spiritually connected to nature. And so I love that we kind of open with Agnes and this incredible, majestic bird. And we see that she does have that connection.
That's an awesome experience to have. That's so cool.
I love
I
birds.
won't lie, I am a little afraid of bigger birds of prey like that. I'm a bit like Paul Mescal in the beginning. Actually, no, he was quite bold, I think, for never having met this particular hawk before. He just went right up to it and pet it. I think I'd be a little more timid than that.
Yeah, it nipped at him and everything. Yeah, I saw an interview where they were saying that the bird just like would not fly to them. Like it was frustrating for them. But you know, you do have to have a connection. You have to build that trust with birds for them to come to you like that. So just further proof that Agnes is a woman of the woods.
Yeah, that was a great character development opening scene. We really start to learn who she is, and we later
Mhm.
learn that her mother and probably further generations back had that connection to nature. And the witchy vibes we were talking about earlier, so great in this movie. William Shakespeare, we're introduced to him in a very different way. He's tutoring Latin to some boys, staring out the window and sees her. He's probably seen her before since he started this tutoring gig, and he very boldly goes outside. He kind of abandons his students and goes to talk to her. And this was their first scene. I was a little confused. I having seen the trailer a couple times, not knowing the full story, and because the costuming, they wear some of the same costumes throughout the movie, I almost thought that they knew each other and were playing like a game of not knowing each other. Sunny, you're nodding your head. Was that what you thought?
Yes, that's exactly what I thought too.
So funny.
And then when I realized this was their first time meeting, I was like, "Oh." And then it was just like a confusing moment. But yeah, I had that exact same experience.
That's so funny. Yeah. But Steph, you read the book, so you probably knew a little more context.
Yeah, yeah, this is really how they meet. He just sees her out the window with her bird and he's like, "Who is this?" And so he just goes and looks and he's like, "Okay, where is she?" And he finds her and then they just start talking in this crazy way.
Yeah.
It's just how they just have like a really crazy relationship and attraction.
Hmm.
So that's what we experience. But yeah, he thinks she's a servant as well. So there's that too.
Oh.
Oh.
So it sounded like, his family, there had been gossip around town about her, but he may not have known heard the gossip or known who she was. So that's an interesting thing. It really does seem like reading the book beforehand would help. Another interesting exchange that they have right off the bat is her touching the part between the thumb and the forefinger, I guess you call it, the primary finger. And that's like a pressure point I've always used when I have a headache is you just kind of squeeze there. But now I'm going to think of it in a different light. This is how you get to know someone's future or past.
Yeah, again, I I remember being so confused during that scene because I thought they were like role playing as if they like
Yes.
had never met before. So I can't really remember it like for what it was and like
Yeah.
what was said. Stephanie, I'm curious, what was like in the book, what was William's like first impression of Agnes? Like, do you remember what like how the author described him like perceiving her for the first time?
I think he was just really interested in her. I think he like sees her physical features like I think it describes like how he sees her, like that she's beautiful and that she's carrying this bird and it's just weird. She just comes out of the woods and so he's
Okay.
just immediately intrigued. And the way that she talks with him, she's pretty sassy as well. She's probably not like most women of that time. So I think yeah, I don't know. We get the sense that they were like destined to meet, right? Like this
Mm,
was always in the cards for them. And I think Agnes knows that right away when she
Mhm.
pinches his hand. um, and then I think he sort of gets a feel for that too. So I don't know. It seems like they were just called to each other in that moment. It is a little
okay.
bizarre.
See, a second watching, I think Sunny and I are going to have a different take on that. But it's funny that you and I had the same, like, they're role playing. Like, I thought they might have already been married at this point, and we're like, hey,
Just to keep things spicy.
pretty much. Um, and they do share a kiss pretty early on, and then they court. I like to call it that just because it's period drama, period drama we're talking about in a very wild, non-traditional way. He, often meets her out in the woods. Their parents are against it, but he's going to talk to her and he's intrigued by her. He buys her a glove, but she's like, I already have one, which was funny. And I did really like the tie-in with the Orpheus and Eurydice story. She says, "Tell me a story, one that moves you," and that's the one he chooses. And this is a favorite story of so many people. I mentioned Portrait of a Lady on Fire earlier. This is a story that's used in that movie. I mean, there's countless TV shows and movies that reference this epic love story, and I'm always, you know, I'm always moved as well when that story gets told.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that moment when he tells her the story. I think that was so romantic. I would love to be told a story. Yeah, that was a really sort of like profound moment I forgot about in the midst of like her being like, leave me alone.
Yeah, I mean, some man who you barely know keeps coming at you in the woods. That's kind of could be off-putting, but I think he, as you said, Stephanie, she probably knows more than she's letting on about him just by reading him in her witchy way. So, yeah, they start to really bond, even though their family is against it. We get that from the beginning. So, we have we got to talk about Emily Watson as William Shakespeare's mother. What an amazing actress. Like, wow, Emily Watson can do no wrong. And great casting choice to have her in this movie. Ah.
Yeah, she's one of my absolute favorites. I love her so much. You're right. She can do no wrong.
I feel like I've seen Emily Watson play recently so many roles as the sort of like stern stand-in mother figure. Like I just finished watching her in Dune Prophecy and also in Belle. And I
Yeah.
feel like she plays very similar characters in those two movies as well. Stern, but like undeniably, like there's love there, but it never like bubbles over, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
controlled. She's very
Yeah.
controlled and maybe had a
Yes.
more traditional classic upbringing and like knows you don't, wear your heart on your sleeve, but yeah.
It also made me question, like, was the Shakespeare family posh? Because Emily Watson's so posh and like the way she speaks is so upper class. And like when they were doing that first family dinner, I was like, I don't buy Emily Watson as a peasant for like a second.
My understanding is that they were. The father is
Mm,
a glove maker. He has this glove making business that was successful, but he like lost his fortune. And
Mm.
so now they're kind of like really not doing well, and everyone knows their business. And that's why Will is teaching these kids randomly because he's paying back a debt to this family. So
mm,
they have a little bit of a complex situation going on, I think.
interesting. Okay.
And the father, the face looked familiar, looked him up, David Wilmot. And I know he's been in other period dramas. I was reading some of like the letterbox reviews and people did not like their interactions. They thought that him just like smacking him on the head and like you and your schooling, blah, blah, like they didn't buy that relationship and thought it was a bit too, I don't know, obvious, like not needed.
Heavy handed.
Heavy-handed. Yeah.
I didn't know other people felt the same way. I totally agree. I was like, this doesn't, for me, like that relationship doesn't further the story. It just like it feels very tonally like out of place and doesn't really like explain a whole lot about Will. Like to me personally. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
glad I wasn't the only
Yeah,
one.
I agree. They were just trying to show that he was abusive to Will, which he was. But yeah, it kind of seemed like out of nowhere in the
Hmm.
movie just because we didn't have that context and time to like get to know
Yeah.
them. But also, you don't really get to know them super well in the book either. Like the dad, he's kind of mysterious because he's nice to some people and awful to
Hmm.
others. And I don't know. It seems
Hmm.
like he's just in general very grumpy.
Mm,
Just not, yeah, not a great father figure because then we see later William with his kids and he's very loving and affectionate and the opposite, which is always good to see. But a smaller character that I think really does do a great job with the limited screen time, Joel Alwyn as the brother, Bartholomew. I really liked his character. He was just like a very solid, companion to Agnes. And it sounded like, they have a shared history with the mother who they didn't know for very long. I really liked his character. I don't know how you felt about him.
I love Bartholomew, the character. He's like just so reliable and so wonderful, and he loves Anya so much. But I've never liked Joe Alwyn very much. I just think he's so boring. I just I've never liked him, but it was nice to see him in this role that I love so much. I think he did a good job with it for sure. Would I
Mhm.
have cast someone else? Probably. Maybe like a Nyron Barnard or someone.
Hmm.
Someone who looks a little bit more like
Hmm.
Jessie, I think would have been good. But
Interesting casting choice.
yeah, I love him. I would cast him in
Me
everything.
too.
He and Emily Watson do a lot with the little, the scenes that they have, I think. And back to the relationship between William and Agnes, they're both very like emotionally driven characters in their own way. They don't care about the rules. So they don't care about tradition. So at a certain point, they're like, you know what? We love each other. We're feeling things, and they get together in the shed. Um, and like they're not really hung up on protocol and society and like that their parents probably would have wanted them to do a certain way.
What I gather
Yeah.
from the book and the movie is that they knew they would never be able to get married. Will wanted that,
Hmm.
right? He comes to her and he said, "We are going to be hand fasted." And
Fantastic.
she's like, "Yeah, that's not going to work, bro." And so I think that's why she goes and says, "Let's do this, impregnate me, and then we'll be forced to get married." I think that was
Interesting.
intentional.
Ooh.
I could be wrong, but
No, I
that's what
like
I
that.
gathered.
It did seem like she wasn't surprised by any of this happening
Mhm.
because in a future scene, she just kind of goes and sits down at the Shakespeare family table and she's just sitting there. She's like, yep, got a bun in the oven. This is gonna happen now.
I
Got
loved that scene. Yeah.
the brothers there supporting her.
She was kicked out of her house too. I don't think they made that super clear, but she was
Um,
like fully kicked out by her stepmother. Like, girl, you can't be here.
Yeah, and there was one scene with her current family life where we, then learned that it was a stepmother and that her real mother was a woman of the woods, a witchy woman, and that's just so cool. Like I love all of that lore for her. And I don't know, I could have used with even a couple more witchy scenes in the whole movie because I just loved it. Or even with the mother, like teaching her kids the incantation and the, what was it, Mug's word or something like that. Like loved that. Loved the ominous music for those scenes, the vibes. That was like those are my favorite scenes.
Yeah. I love that her mother was played by Louisa Harland, who you may know from Dairy Girls and Renegade Nell. She's lovely. I love her so much. Another Irish actor, I think. Or no, maybe not.
But
Maybe she was just Irish in Dairy Girls, but
oh.
she's really cool. So I was very surprised and happy to see her.
Speaking of, her connection with the forest and getting pregnant, the first baby comes along and she's like, "Get me to the woods. This is where I'm supposed to birth my baby." I mean, I think she even mentions her mom had her in the wood. I mean, this is something, a tradition that goes back. And that was the coolest scene. I loved it.
Me
It,
too.
it was so dramatic. And the red, her dress was so red. Oh,
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
so cool.
So let's break for a second and talk about the costume designer, Malgosia Terzanska. And I mean, the costuming, of course, there's not like a wide array of costumes that these characters wear, but there are some subtle changes between them but the color remains the same. So we have Agnes in this vibrant, I think of it as like red orange. Would you agree? Like, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
And it's a very simple frock.
That's like one of my favorite shades of red, that like blood orange. And I also love like in the posters and everything how it just like pops against all the greenery and the other sort of like nature flower like motifs that are present in like all of the marketing. I just think it's just so gorgeous. And I don't, you would know, Carly, maybe, I don't know, has this shade of red been like associated with a character before in like like I'm thinking like Marie Antoinette has her like powder blue, and like
Yeah.
Keira Knightley and Atonement has that like emerald green. Like I can't place this shade of red with anybody else.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm thinking of the classic Romeo and Juliet with
Yes.
yes, it's all because I've definitely posted that on my Period Drama Style account. And usually we see more burgundy reds, you know, cranberry, maroons. And I remember when I posted Olivia Hussey, it's more of a vibrant orangey red. It really
You're totally
is.
right. Yep.
I'm glad you thought of that.
Yep.
And that's always been about the Montagues and the Capulets, the red and the blue, the red and the blue. So to see Paul as Shakespeare in his light blue, that was almost giving like a chambray blue. I don't know. I think the colors, as you said, in the photos and the posters and the movie stills, the trailers, I mean, it was just like eye candy.
I've heard interviews with Jessie Buckley where she said that Red for Agnes was like one of the first things that made sense to her about the character. And she never
Mhm.
expanded on that, but I would love to know why she felt that way.
I always think of red and blue too as like fire and water, the
Mm.
elements.
Mhm.
Um, she's a bit of a fiery character, but yeah, that would be interesting to learn more. We just started mentioning it, the music. Max Richter, this score is haunting, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
But
I love Max Richter. I think he's a brilliant composer. I the only really thing of note, which I wrote in my letterbox review, you might have read this, Carly. I didn't agree with his song choice for the last scene, like the outro song, just because it's so well known. It's like his most famous piece. I actually associated it with like I think he might have composed it for a ballet, which I've seen, and it was like made on a dancer Wendy Whalen, who like became really famous. She was already famous, but this ballet was very famous and she was like attached to it. So like there's so many other associations I have with this song. And it's also like trending on like TikTok. Um so I don't know. I just like
Yeah.
I thought that was like a bit of a bummer. But what did you guys think? I'm curious.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's called On the Nature of Daylight, that song that's used at the end. And it's also used in Arrival in a very emotional scene. I love Arrival so much. It's also used in The Last of Us, the famous episode 3 of season 1. And I don't know, it gets me every time. I do kind of wish that we
Oh,
had had original music. Like, I definitely um, I also was kind of like, why are we using this song again? But you know what? She felt like it was perfect for that scene. And it really kind of was like, oh man, it was so beautiful. And um, I think it's expanded a bit for like the credits and stuff. At least I hadn't listened to that part of the song. And I thought it was really beautiful. So, but also the film itself didn't have a lot of music.
It was more like
I don't,
tonal and yeah, kind of
mhm,
I think Sunny back to the Beguiled where Phoenix did the music, but it's almost like
mm,
you don't think of it fully as music
mhm.
because it's just like sound almost.
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe so. It was very quiet. It was a very quiet movie.
Reverberations and birds chirping in the woods and that kind of thing.
It really worked for this film, I thought, like the sort of lack of any like overt pieces of music. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But you're right. It's a very used song. I think I read something like 22 movies and series from yeah, from Arrival to The Last of Us, The Handmaid's Tale, apparently Shutter Island. So when it has that many, many connections and references, it's an original piece would have been cool. But then again, it did fit with the scene. So it's kind of like, yeah, struggling with that. But people are commenting on that a lot.
Yeah, I wish I had never listened to the song before and I could just fully
Mhm.
experience it for the first time. Because you're right, it is totally it fits.
Mhm.
I just wish there weren't so many other cultural associations with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Also, everything we named is so devastating.
Yeah.
Like, we've cried to this song so many times.
Gosh, yes. Sometimes you can compose a song that has similar elements in the same. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hans Zimmer does it all the time.
Yeah.
yeah. After the first child is born, Susanna in the woods, everything feels kind of right with that. And we have the family of three now, but we start to see William struggling with his work, struggling to work with his father and then struggling to write at night, drinking, like nothing's working for him. This family life, this work life balance. Agnes is the one who says to her brother, like, he needs to go to London. This is where he needs to be. I mean, maybe it's in the book that she just knew this instinctually or it was a premonition or something. But I did like how she kind of was the one who had to take that initiative and be like, this isn't working. Get out of here.
Yeah, he's very depressed in the book too. Like, you get the sense that he really struggles with depression. So, yeah, it's interesting how they portrayed that in the film. He just, seemed more angry, but yeah, she felt like she was losing him. So she was like, we got to do something. So they manufacture this move to London, and that kind of changes everything.
Yeah. I didn't love the scene where he's writing drunkenly. Like, it just,
Yeah, and like reciting Shakespeare, that was a little weird.
oh,
Yeah. See, there's none of that in the book. Like, you
yeah.
don't know that he's writing these plays. So I thought that was a little cheesy.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, like Liam brought up to me after he was like, I really tried. I still don't understand Shakespeare. I was like, and I don't think you need to understand Shakespeare to like watch this film at all. But I do get what he was saying in the sense of like, if you don't know what he's talking about, you feel like you're missing out on something or like you're not quite like getting to it. And I felt like all the times he was like reciting it and like working and yeah,
Yeah.
all the references didn't quite work for me.
Yeah, he does a little bit of Romeo and Juliet at one point. I think closer to when he first meets Agnes, which,
Mhm.
you'd of course like to think that she was inspiration for a romantic epic like that.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we're getting to the crux of, Hamlet. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish they had done something a little differently there. But either way, he goes off to London meanwhile, she's pregnant again. So, but she's not worried about this. She's like, I'm just going to go back to the woods. I'm just going to pop this second baby out. Everything's gonna be fine. She's very strong. This character is very strong. We already know this. We're not worried about her either. But then things get a little dicey here because she can't go to the forest. There's flooding in the river. Emily Watson, her stepmother, is like, you got to stay here. And, this is just conflicting with what she wants to do. She just needs to be like wild and let free. And I love the way she portrays this in this scene. This is a very iconic scene here. And she has this, you know, baby boy that she births, and then there's a second baby on the way. Unexpected. There's another one coming, and she's got to rally and do it again. And that's tragic too, because this little baby, we think she may lose it. I mean, some of us, we already know about the twins, so we kind of are already anticipating some kind of miracle happening. But this whole scene, beautifully shot and acted.
Yeah, I was so upset for her when Emily Watson like stopped her from leaving. I was like, "No, like you have to let her, like she needs to do this out there. Like she can't, she like has to do it her way." I was so like upset. I actually didn't hear her explaining that I think like the something had broken, like the dam had
Yeah,
broken or
something.
something like that, which had caused the flooding. Liam told me that later, and I thought she was just being like an evil mother-in-law. And I was like, I can't believe she did this. And then I was like, oh my gosh, is this the reason Hamnet dies later? Is because like she couldn't give birth to him in the woods. I just found that whole thing like deeply upsetting just because like I like hate scenes where like anything that has to do with like women being told what to do with their bodies. I don't know, that like really affects me. Um,
Triggering.
but yeah, extremely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I also associated it with like a bad omen, like
Mm,
so, something's going wrong. And if she'd just been able to go to the woods, none of this would have happened. So I'm with you there. Stuff should
Yeah.
have. Hmm.
So I hope I'm not being annoying by saying,
No,
well, in the book,
no, no, no.
no,
Love.
um,
I this is so interesting. I
I love
love
it.
it when
the
yeah.
context helps, right? Because I know if I had seen this movie without reading the book, I would be so lost in a lot of parts. But um, they like planned basically to kidnap her and keep her there to have the baby because they were like, you can't be having this baby in the forest because they were pretty mad at her last time. They had to go find her.
Yeah.
They were worried about her, so it makes sense. But yeah, it's heartbreaking. And I don't know, did y'all pick up on her talking about two people at her deathbed
Yeah.
when she was saying that? Okay, so she had always had this vision of seeing
Mhm.
her two children at her deathbed.
Yeah.
So she knew she was having two children. Then she was confused. She was like, oh, maybe it's you two, the two midwife, or, my mother in law and the midwife. That's who I saw. So she's kind of confused about it when she has this
Mm,
third baby. And then later on, she realizes, oh, one
Yeah.
of my children has to die.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just so heartbreaking. And oh my gosh, her acting during the scene when she's calling out for her mother,
Mm,
oh my God, that like broke me.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was rough.
I mean, do we think she's going to take home the Oscar? Because it feels like
Oh,
it.
yeah, 1000%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anyone else could have done this. And there were a lot of close-up shots on her. I mean, wow. Uh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm in awe of her acting through this scene.
it made me wonder, like when women have to perform these childbirth scenes, they're screaming and straining so much. I'm like, surely that's gotta affect them physically
Yeah.
afterwards. Like I feel like my like eyes would pop out of my head if I was doing it.
Yeah.
I know. A lot of actors will like pop blood vessels in
Yes.
their face, in their neck.
You're
I
thinking
wonder if
of
Oh my
she did that.
gosh.
Stephanie, are you thinking because of Stranger Things,
Yes,
that
yeah,
interview
Will
recently?
Noah Schnapp just did it in Stranger Things, yeah. And then he was like, they didn't even use it. Or
Yeah.
something.
Oh
He had
my
like
gosh,
popped blood
no
vessel
way.
and he had a picture of showing his face. So like that was fresh.
Yeah.
But you know,
What?
yeah, I'll be honest, sometimes with birthing scenes and period dramas, I'm like, I mute that. Just don't want to hear the screaming. It's just a lot. It takes a lot. Of course, if I'm in this kind of movie going experience, I want to feel it. But like, let's say I'm watching a movie for the third time, I'm like mute at home.
No,
No,
I
that's
agree. Yeah. Also, like, as somebody who, wants children one day, like, I don't need to see stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually read a review that said of Hamnet, that said that it's like one downfall, if it has one, is it's like almost overflowing of earnestness. Like it is so emotional, like it like takes you past the point of like
Mm.
just total like emotional annihilation.
Yeah, it's all interesting, but a tragic scene, a heart-wrenching scene, a beautiful scene at the same time. You can't, deny that. And I was thinking a bit about Samantha Morton's character. Did I say no? Mm-mm.
Emily Watson. I
I
always
get,
want to call her Samantha Morton too.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that was gonna happen. Okay. You're so funny. Okay, sorry. Um, Emily Watson as the stepmother. In my head, and I could just be making this up, when they were about to dismiss Judith as being passed away, they were gonna take the poor baby away. And Anya said, no, let me hold her. She comes back to life there. In my head, I feel like the stepmom like changes her mind about Anya's. I mean, I don't know if that's true because I didn't read the book and it doesn't even show her, but it's almost like her point of view. She's watching Anya's hold the baby and the miracle happens. And in my head, I'm like, I bet she's changed a little bit from this experience. Like maybe this witchy woman knows what she's talking about. But I don't know, Stephanie, you maybe say that's not the case.
Yeah, I do think they have a better relationship moving forward from that. I'm trying to remember if it is like actually said in the book, but yeah, I definitely think that Mary is on Agnes's side from there, and she knows, the heartbreak of losing a child. She's lost, I think, three,
Mm,
they say, and she knows how difficult it is to give birth, and
yeah.
yeah, to see her give birth to twins and have one basically come back to life. Yeah, she sees her for what she is, I think.
I love that. And I think that moment of like seeing like Emily Watson's character seeing Agnes for who she is. I think like those moments are like some of the most moving moments in this film. Like the other one I can think of that we talked about briefly was when Agnes decided for Will that he was going to London. And it was so quick. It happened so quick. And it's like it's a signifier of like the strength of Agnes's character and like the fact that she's like independent and like will be okay on her own. That's a given. But I think that moment of like being seen by your partner and like feeling like your partner knows what you need
Mm.
and them being able to like help you carry that out, whatever that is. I like find moments like that so touching. Like even more moving than like the tragic like grief scenes. I don't know. I just like there's something about that like really touched me.
I love that.
Yeah. After this, after we learned that the twins will both live at this point, we do get a breath of fresh air, some happy scenes, some loving family scenes. Will's back. He's back in town. He's playing with the kids. They're, doing the cute little play. The kids are grown up. Oh, there's the identical twin switch, there's the parent trap going on. I mean, that's like the highlight of being a twin is being able to do that. Sorry. I digress. And then you see the older sisters, Susanna, and I thought that actress was really great too. I mean, all of the child actors are so great, and their family dynamic. I mean, so loving, so beautiful, so free-spirited. They're in the woods at times playing. They mourn the loss of the poor hawk together. And
Yeah.
and Agnes's, send off of her beloved friend was just like, oh, I love that was one of my favorite scenes.
Same. I love that
Yeah.
scene so much. Oh,
Beautiful.
yeah.
That was like the first point in the film where I started crying, and then I just like didn't stop crying until the end of the movie.
Yeah,
Very valid. Yeah.
very. And they have such a playful, happy life, and it felt natural. It felt really, really nice. And you see this, Hamnet, the son, you see the relationship between Will and Hamnet, and he's going off again back to London, and he tells him to be brave and take care of his mother and sisters. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all watched Paul Mescal's Hot Ones episode, but when he's
I
eating
need
the
to.
hot wings, he says, "I'm a big, brave, strong boy" in it. And I've used that in my life so much. I've been dealing with a lot, like health-wise, and I keep telling myself I'm a big, brave, strong girl.
Oh,
It's like become my mantra, and me and my friend Hannah, we always are saying that.
that's funny.
But I thought of that when he was like, "You're a brave boy," and
Mhm.
lifting him up and everything. I just thought that was so cute, and I was like, I bet that's where he got that.
Oh,
But yeah,
That's
it's
so
so
funny.
sweet.
it is sweet. And then I mean, it's a short-lived sweetness. I mean, I do love how they also do the sword play and the choreography of the sword fighting. That was really great to see. And then you see this poor son. He's heartbroken that his father's leaving, but he's trying to be brave. And then I think there's a moment where he is with his mother, and they're talking about how he's going to go on and be an actor in the future. He's going to grow up and be on the stage. She may have even like just predicted his future, and there's belief there. There's this, you feel like that is what was supposed to be. We have the plague coming in and poor Judith. So Judith has, as the twin who almost passed away, is probably a bit sicker or susceptible to illness. And she gets sick, and her brother is just feeling it. That is just so sad, her twin brother. And this whole scene, his acting is just so stellar. I don't, does anyone else want to describe the tragic scene?
I will say real quick, it's so agonizing in the book because they drag it on for chapters. Like he is trying to find help
Oh,
and no one will help him with Judith. Like he's the only one that knows she's sick and just like everyone is ignoring him. And he is
Mm.
like desperate and it's oh my gosh, it's so awful. It's why it took me so long to read the book because I was like I can't do this. But yeah, it he in the movie they find that Judith is sick pretty quickly. And so Agnes is doing everything she can to cure her. She can cure people. That's what she does, but it's the plague. So it's basically not curable. There's nothing she can do, but she tries everything. And Hamnet is so heartbroken that he basically says, I give my life to you. And they switch places, which no one saw happen, or no one saw, that in their future.
hmm.
And oh my God,
Ugh.
ugh, it's just the most heartbreaking thing ever.
It's so heartbreaking. And then, you think of how these children are the children of Agnes. So they have a bit of supernatural qualities about them, a bit of, her spirit about her. And so they see Death, the twins, in the corner of the room or something. That was just a chilling moment.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks to Death, and this whole experience, his acting is just like, so good. How? And you start to kind of see what's going to happen. And then you're just, wow, I don't even know. It's hard to talk through this scene.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I wish that we didn't know that he died, you know? Like, I wish it was more of a
Yeah.
surprise.
Hmm.
I mean, it's still heartbreaking. It's crazy that it is as heartbreaking as it is, even if we know going into
Yeah.
this movie that he dies. It's, I
Yeah.
think that speaks to the power of the storytelling. But yeah, it's just, I think they did such a good job, those two young
Yeah.
actors, of being twins and of
Yeah.
loving each other so much.
Yeah.
You can tell they really did love each other. And I know that they did. They've talked about it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that scene between the two of them. Oh,
And then the subsequent scene, the following scene, I should say, where he is taken to that other dimension and I mean, that they went there. He's alone and he's trying to figure things out and I thought it was very interesting. I did love how he's kind of like almost making an exit and then he looks back and you don't see him walk through because later we're going to see that, but I didn't know that. And so that was a beautiful closure moment later
mhm.
on.
It's so interesting because I would say Ines was my favorite character, but this was my favorite scene was but between the
Mhm.
two kids. Um, yeah, it was like a hair-raising scene in a lot of ways. Just the like it just like the authenticity of the like bond between siblings. Like I mean I'm not a twin, so I can't speak to that, but the image the next morning of like their little heads under the blanket together. I don't know, it just like reminded me of like me and my sister like,
Mhm.
sleeping together when we were little and if we were covered by a blanket like that, you wouldn't be able to tell us apart.
Oh.
Um
Oh.
and yeah, oh man, they're so good. They're so good in this.
Yeah, when the mother finds them with their heads together, that also makes me think of Jane Eyre and Helen, the young Helen in the story where they're at the orphanage together and Jane wakes up and I mean it's just I keep these children in these stories that we are classic literature stories that go through these experiences because of what history was. It's just it's terrible. But I guess we'll keep going with the story. So, well, Hamnet comes home on the horse. Nope, not Hamnet. William. Shakespeare. Shakespeare comes home on the horse and he's trying to get home. I don't know if they got word to him or whatnot about Judith being sick because he definitely still thinks it's Judith.
Mhm.
And I loved his embrace of Judith when he walks. I mean, that was really beautiful and he's so happy. And then you just know what's coming, that he's gonna really be heartbroken. Oh, and Judith, has already had a scene where she tells her mom and her grandmother that, oh, he changed places with me, and Emily Watson's like, don't ever say that to anyone ever. Like, keep that to yourself, sweetie. Um, yeah, but wow, this family is never gonna be the same again, and you see that in the next few scenes. So that kind of like that kind of sets up the rest of the movie really. Like there's nothing else they can deal with other than this grief and we see how they deal with it in their own way. Yeah. Um and you see Shakespeare going back to London and writing and well we don't see a lot of it. We see him kind of like by the docks by the river. I have to say, a little lighter moment. There's this really cute terrier that is following him in the city and I was like
Yes.
really hoping that that would become a like in more scenes. I wanted to see the dog in more scenes. He was the cutest little thing. And then I Googled it. I was like, did Shakespeare have a dog? And no, there's no record. So
Well, we don't even know if he was like a real person at this
I
point,
know
so
that's
we don't
true.
know if he had a dog. But we can pretend. Let's just pretend he had a dog.
Uh,
What would he name it?
Oh, some really good name, like I don't know,
Tybalt.
Or Othello, yeah. Oh,
Tibby.
Tibby.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tibby. There you go.
but that was a really cute dog, like the
That was a cute
multicolored
dog.
spots. And these two are just on different paths now. So I think about that opening scene with the two trees. So they were very like connected and intertwined, but like they're kind of like dealing with things their own way. They're living separate lives now. As you said, Steph, he's probably having affairs. They're not showing that in this movie, but we can maybe think back to Gwyneth Paltrow in Shakespeare in Love. That's happening in the meantime. I don't know. Viola de Lesseps. And yeah, thoughts on their dealing with the loss of their son, that whole thing that they're going through?
Yeah, I wish it's kind of hard to understand the passage of time in this movie. Like you really don't know how much time has passed. All of the kids look the same for the most part. It's you just don't really know how long he's gone. But he's gone for long periods of time, and yeah, he's like living this whole secret life. They don't even really know what he's doing, and really, he's like getting rich and becoming this very, very famous playwright and actor, and builds the Globe Theater. And they have no clue. Like it's so crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, poor Agnes is just like struggling to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting. The passage of time, that's a good point, Steph. And that's why I almost wish I know it's like supposed to be a story from the point of view of Agnes. And but then because we do get a few scenes of Will in London, I almost wish they would have like given us a few more, like I don't know, just to really flesh out like that character leading up to his production of his play Hamlet. Like I would have liked just a little more. I mean, it was a 2 hour, 5 minute movie. You know, a lot of movies nowadays are 2.5 hours. Like, give us a little more. I don't know. That's just me. I'm being greedy.
No,
But
don't make it longer.
no, no. Okay, okay.
No, I'm sick of the long
Okay,
movies.
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I almost even wanted more of how he was impacted by his relationship with Agnes, how that went into his work. So, like, I almost thought we were going to get more like Ophelia tie-ins or something. I don't know. And we didn't get that. And I know the story, the movie is called Hamnet, so it's about that play. But I don't know. I just wanted more of the Shakespeare storyline, really. And I know that's not what it was about, but I can still want it, can't I?
That's so funny that that's kind of how y'all are feeling. I wanted less of him, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you can't approach it as a story about Shakespeare and his family, even though that's what it's been marketed as, kind of, you know. You
Yeah.
just like you're not supposed to know that it's him.
Yeah.
And it's hard to approach it, I know, from that angle, but like
Because the
Yeah.
ending is so about the closure through
mhm,
the play, you
mhm.
know?
But
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. It's hard because like you need
It's
to have
like,
some background knowledge to like for it to hit home
mm,
for like the story of Hamlet to resonate as much as it does, but at the same time like it's best if you don't know anything. I don't
mm.
know, it's hard.
It's it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree with both of you actually. I would say I wasn't really into the scenes of Paul Mescal wandering around London. Like it felt compared to like the like countryside scenes, it felt very like set piecey. I don't know. It like looked like a stage to me and it kind of like took me out of like the vibe of the rest of the film. But Carly, I do also agree with you saying like at the end there when we are in the theater with him in the city, like you kind of need some sort of like context for it. Um, but yeah, Liam and I both like agreed. We were like, why? There were so many scenes of him just like wandering around
Yeah.
drunk, and I was like, why are we here?
Like when they could have used that time for something else. I mean, I know it maybe would have been cheesy for him just like furiously writing and like crying, but I don't
Yeah.
know, something about how there's got to be something. And then I didn't like the scene where he was critiquing the young man who was going to star as Hamlet. I didn't like that scene where he was just like, again, again. I was like, this has been done.
Yeah, we've seen
I'm
it
being
before.
critical.
Whiplash, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Also, again, like I just can't buy Paul Mescal as like an angry person. I
Yeah,
think I've
like
seen him too like in too many movies to like have an objective opinion on his performances anymore.
okay, so I was trying to think too, like because we do love Paul and we do love him in other things, and but like, who else would we have cast? I don't know if this is totally the right choice. Like, probably not, but I could see this person as Shakespeare in the future. I'm thinking of our other Irish fan, the Irish actor we've been loving lately. Anthony Boyle? Not in
Oh,
this movie, but as a
interesting.
Shakespeare. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
As like a vivacious Shakespeare.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
He definitely does like flamboyance and anger and
Yeah,
all of
yes.
those things well.
And the bisexual, potential there.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys read this in the IMDb trivia, but Sam Mendes was attached to direct this before Chloé Zhao, and Tom Holland was attached to play the role of Shakespeare, which I can't really see. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
No, just
No.
no. Yeah, he's too young. I mean, Paul is very young, but he has
Yeah.
this ability to play a little bit older. I think because he has like gray hair and he just has like a mature face. But I don't know. I would have a hard time buying a
Yeah,
really young looking actor in this
Yeah.
role.
that's true. I can't imagine Tom Holland as like a dad of three
No.
older children,
I
like
think
Yeah.
it's
preteens.
I think it would have been hard to cast it other than Paul, but at the same time, I'm highly critical of it. And I will put a big asterisk. I need to see this movie again. Like, I do know I need to see it again because first impressions sometimes when it's such a hyped movie, like I went into the theater, like, I can't wait to love this movie. And that's like that, like, you can't do that sometimes. You
Hmm.
need to go in being
Yeah.
like, I'm ready to take this movie for what it is. So we'll see. But then again, Jessie Buckley, no notes, like you said, Sunny.
Yeah, and maybe like that's what it is. It's just that like she embodied the role so perfectly. Anybody else next to her, it's gonna like they're gonna pale in comparison. Maybe that's just like what it is. It's like it's Jessie Buckley's movie. It's her world. We're just living in it, and everybody else is a character. But she is Anya's.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then the Jupe brothers were just like surprise,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
icing on
Yeah.
the cake, like they were just both of them were
Yeah.
exceptional. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Jupes, Noah Jupe has been killing it for years. Like, I remember
Really?
watching him as a kid and thinking, like, oh my God,
Really?
he's going to be winning Oscars because he was so good as a kid. Did y'all ever see him in anything?
No.
What
Because
has he been in?
he was in A Quiet Place, those movies. He was one of the kids. He was
Mm.
in Honey Boy, that story of Shia LaBeouf's life.
No. But I know
It's
of
rough.
it.
Um, and he was in that movie Wonder. He was really good in that.
Oh,
He's
I
been in
didn't.
lots of stuff,
Okay.
but he's just, yeah, I just remember thinking he was so fantastic. And then I've been wondering, like, where is he? And then when I saw he's going to be in this with his little brother, I was like, oh no.
It was
But
so good.
yeah, he's fantastic. I was really excited when that scene popped up because I was like, oh, there he is. And I know
Yeah.
in the book, there's that scene where Shakespeare is like hating this young actor. I can't remember why he hates him so much, but he like describes the way he looks. And I don't know if it's because he looks like his son and that's why he hates him.
Mm,
And
Oh.
that's why he's being so mean. Um, but yeah, he just hates him for some reason. So
mm.
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. He didn't bother me, and Shakespeare didn't bother me in this role or in this movie at all. So it's interesting to hear y'all's perspective because it's totally valid, but it's also just like, I don't know. It worked for me. I didn't care about Shakespeare in this at
I got
all.
you.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is also because
Yeah.
like he wasn't like an important character necessarily after
No.
having read the book.
But I'll go back to like Firebrand, like Jude Law just crushed it as Henry VIII, and like that worked too. I don't know. And then I got to see Jude Law as Hamlet.
I remember that. Oh my God, talk about
What?
that.
Okay, so this was an incredible like experience. I can't even believe I did this, but I got to see him in the West End, and I'll never forget this the way the stage looked and his acting, and he was very physical with his acting. There's this line in Hamlet where he talks about like a crab, and he like did this like crab walk, and he was just like Jude Law was just oh my gosh.
That's
I'll
so
ne
cool.
yes,
Yeah.
and then. Ophelia was played by Gugu Mbatha Raw, and I didn't know
Oh
who she
my
was at the time.
gosh.
So now I look back at pictures, I'm like, oh my God. And then like Penelope Wilton was in it, and Kevin McNally, I think. Like it was just crazy.
Wow.
So cool.
Wow, what a cast.
This was in like 2011 or something. When was it?
Yeah, 2010.
So cool.
And I guess I am a fangirl of Shakespeare's writing, so maybe
Mm,
that's why this movie, when I went into it with
okay.
these expectations, when really I need to throw the books away and take it for what it is. Like, uh, so, but maybe our listeners are also feeling like there's some Stephanie listeners, there's some Sunny listeners, there's some, you know what I mean? So, like, maybe they're enjoying this conversation.
I hope.
Oh my
I
gosh.
always like appreciate these films so much more after talking with you guys because like there are some things that I just don't quite work for me, and then I like hear why they work for you guys, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's just
definitely.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm glad, Steph, you have the book perspective for us here.
Yeah.
And we'll give it another watch at some point. I know some of the letterbox reviews are like, I love this movie, but I'm never watching it again. I was like, no, you got to watch it again.
Yeah. I understand that
Mhm.
feeling, but like, no, you got to. You got
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. I did a screenshot of a couple other letterbox reviews before we take it to the end here to see. Okay, so the one I really liked, ISO on Letterbox said, "What is grief if not love persevering?" Beautiful summary.
Oh.
I know. And then a funny one by James with a frog face. James. Stunning performance from de-aged Hayden Christensen at the end as Hamlet.
Maybe that's why we love him so much.
Ah.
And then, you
Oh
know,
man.
I thought that was great. And then one more by Matt. Imagine if your shitty Latin tutor turned out to be William Shakespeare. There you
I
go.
love that.
That's funny.
So let's just wrap up with the end here. So we've already talked a lot about it. We have the production of Hamlet, and Agnes goes to see it. She's got her brother by her side. She pushes through to the front of the stage. She's like the worst play goer ever, like
Yes.
the worst audience person ever. I would have hated her.
She's never left the house, never left the woods.
Truly, truly. And but
Uh,
she's also feeling it. And she sees her husband dressed as a ghost in that ghostly makeup. She's just
That's my husband. That's Will. What does she say? She's like,
yeah, something like
that's
that.
him in costume.
Oh my gosh, it's actually kind of funny. Like maybe the second time I watched it, I could just laugh at that whole. But it was kind of like you were annoyed by her at this
Oh,
scene.
I was like shushing her in the audience.
Oh my gosh. So she's experiencing it all, and she's in the Globe Theater. I mean, this is like, and everyone else knows what to do and how to behave and how to react appropriately to what's going on the stage. So it's very funny. And how cool would it have been to be an extra in that movie?
So cool because apparently they were having dance parties to Rihanna in their costumes,
Oh
like
my
in the Globe
goodness.
Theater, just like dancing.
That's
They're trying to
amazing.
like get the rights to the music to release the video of this apparently. So
Oh,
hopefully we're going to see this at some point.
so
But
funny.
yes, it
Love
would be
that.
so fun to be one of those background actors, just dirty, wearing it like some sort of smock dress.
That's funny.
I want to say like the makeup and the costumes were so cool. I just loved like when you see Hamlet come out and she's like, "Oh my God, that's my son." I just love the way that they made his hair blonde. I thought it looked so cool. And I loved the ghost makeup on Paul, how it was all like crusty and flaky and he really did look kind of ghostly and dead. And I thought it was really cool how they brought like, 1500s theater to life for us.
Yeah.
I really loved Jessie Buckley's performance in this scene. I think this was probably my favorite scene of hers, just because like you experience her experiencing theater for the first time, and that's so magical, right? Um, yeah, I don't know, all of her expressions, and then of course when she like reaches out and like holds his hand. I didn't know she was gonna do that. So that was like shocking to me and like and also just like a great moment.
Yeah. and you
Yeah.
see his reaction and how he goes
Yeah.
with it. And like, what a great, actor, I guess, stage actor, if you will, to just read the audience and just go with it. And everyone's looking around, and it's just like, it's a magical moment.
Yeah, it's so cool. Also, the way that he like hesitates and their hands just kind of hover for a
Mm.
second and then they clasp hands.
Mm.
Oh, full body chills.
Yeah, it was so good. And then I don't know if it was before, I think it was maybe before this, where, oh, yes, because it's when Will is exiting the stage and she says, look at me," like she did with the wedding scene that we kind of didn't mention earlier. So that was a nice little tie-in.
Oh,
Mhm.
I didn't even pick up on that, but that's lovely.
Yeah, it's like she's commanding him to turn around and look at her.
Mm.
And the wedding scene, of course, you're like, okay, of course he's gonna look at her. Excuse me. But with this one, you think you're kind of waiting for him to like maybe spot her in the audience, and it's her saying, "Turn around and look at me and see me here." And yeah. And then it ends quite abruptly with her, still at the front of the stage, having gone through this experience. But you do still sense a bit of closure by both William and Agnes.
And we see Hamnet walk through the door.
Yes, that's it. Yes. Talk about that,
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Well, like you mentioned earlier, we see him kind of caught, on this stage, and he doesn't walk through that door, but he turns around that one last time, and we see his little sweet cheeks and his little face. Oh, he's so cute. And yeah, he walks through, and then she's like, okay. And we also have, the actor in front of her also dead, but she just starts laughing. She's
Mm,
going through the emotions and she has that closure.
yeah. I loved sort of also the connection. So first off, the tree background of the stage was beautiful,
Hmm.
and that they have the way the actors would come through that passageway and a dark void. Does that mirror the void in the woods? That has to, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And you never know what's in there.
Oh, also, Liam and I had this discussion in the car ride home. We were like, what does the void mean? And to me, it was like very obvious that it was like the womb, like a mother's womb. But Liam didn't get that at all. And he was just like, it was so creepy. What was it for like you guys? I don't know if it was supposed to be something different.
I like that. I feel like multiple meanings. So the womb, because I think at one point her mother comes through that hole, actually, like in one of the flashback scenes, the very
Oh.
beginning. I think the young mother of Agnes, as a flashback, might have walked through that when she's explaining her mother, um, being part of the woods or something. But then I also think of when the baby, Judith, we think is dead, and she talks about how, I guess she doesn't believe in the same afterlife as the church. And so I almost feel like that's the passageway to whatever she
Oh.
believes. Or that's the coming and the going. That's where, you know,
I love that. I love that even more than the womb.
but also
Yeah.
the womb, but also the womb.
No,
Like
but
it's like
he's like,
both.
yeah, he's like returning to the spirit of nature, whatever
Mhm.
that is, to Agnes and like her mother and their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I see it as, just like the spirit that Agnes holds inside her, whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever this thing is that she carries with her, that's what that void is.
I really wish they had let Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal sing in this. Like one campfire song. Because they're
Yeah.
both incredible singers. Yeah.
And I think they could have done something like we've had this in period dramas. We have Demelza singing, in Cornwall. We have in Bathsheba singing in Far from the Madding
Mm-hmm.
Crowd. Yeah, something really like folky and like wild. Oh,
Yes. Wanted
Yeah.
that. Maybe
That would
next
have been
time.
very cool. Yeah. I sent this clip to you, Carly. It was from a film festival. I can't remember which one, but it's a variety interview with the cast. And little Jacoby starts
oh,
crying when he's
yes, yes.
talking about his character. Um, I just recommend watching some interviews with the cast. They're just so lovely, and I just love little Jacoby and how in tune he is with this story and with Hamnet. And he basically says, after playing this role, I want to live on for Hamnet because I feel that it's very
Oh my
unfair that
gosh.
he didn't get to live. And he starts crying. So,
Oh.
yeah, just
Oh my
watch interviews
gosh.
about this this movie because it clearly meant a lot to all of these people, and I love the way that they made it. And yeah, I just loved it. I thought it was really beautiful.
Do you know how old Jacoby is?
I don't actually.
That must be so crazy now that I think about it, to be that young and like contemplate death that hard.
Oof.
Yeah, I know,
You
right?
know?
Yeah.
I did see in the cast and crew, like the credits at the end, there was a child psychologist. That was
Oh.
probably for the best, you know?
Oh, geez. Yeah.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they're thinking of these things nowadays. Where in the
Yeah.
90s, they probably were not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think the
Hmm.
child stars of today are more well adjusted and like treated better. All the Stranger Things kids, they're okay. And
Yeah.
like the Harry
Yeah.
Potter kids are okay. So I feel
Yeah.
better about children in movies.
Oh my
That's so
gosh.
true.
There you have it, folks. We have done a deep dive on the newly released Hamnet film. I hope that you enjoyed our conversation. I want to thank Sunny and Stephanie for bringing your insights and your sharing your experiences of seeing this movie in theaters. And I just think we had a really lovely conversation, lots of different viewpoints. We really analyzed this story and appreciate it, of course. And I'll just leave it at that. But thank you both for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all for supporting Swoon-Worthy, the podcast. We appreciate all of your listens and your shares and likes and comments. If you have a friend or family member who you think would like this podcast, share them the link. We would love to continue to grow and talk period dramas with all of you. Catch you next time. Bye.